Properties of the indifference curves. Indifference curves are subjective and unique to each person. So indifference curves are unique to each and every person. Nevertheless, they have in common the following properties. So they have certain properties which are common to all indifference curves. So what are the properties of the indifference curves? They are: indifference curve must have negative slope. Indifference curves have negative slope. Look at this graph. IC is the indifference curve. This indifference curve slopes downwards from the left to the right. This is the meaning of negative slope. Negative slope means the indifference curve falls down. Why does it fall down? Because we are substituting oranges for apple. So at the first point R, the person is buying 20 oranges and 1 apple. At the second point, he is buying 15 oranges and 2 apples. That means he is substituting oranges for apples. He is giving away 5 oranges to buy an extra apple. So here substitution takes place. That's why the indifference curve slopes downwards from the left to the right. It has got a negative slope. Second one, indifference curves are convex to the origin. What do you mean by convex to the origin? This is the origin. This part is called as the origin. Convex. So can you see the indifference curve? This is bulging out. Okay. So that's the meaning of convex to the origin. From this point, if you see the indifference curve, it is convex to the origin. This is also because of the substitution. You are substituting one good for the other. So the first property is indifference curve must have negative slope. Second one, indifference curves are convex to the origin. Third one, indifference curve cannot intersect each other. Now look at this figure. Okay. Here we have two curves, IC1 and IC2. IC1 and IC2. IC1 is a lower indifference curve denoting lesser satisfaction. So IC1 is a lower indifference curve denoting lesser satisfaction. This one, IC2. IC2 is a upper indifference curve denoting higher satisfaction. We saw this earlier, IC1, IC2, IC3. So higher the indifference curve, higher will be the level of satisfaction. Lower the indifference curve, lower will be the level of satisfaction. Likewise, in this diagram, IC2 has got higher level of satisfaction and IC1 has got lower level of satisfaction. Okay, so point A is on IC2 and point B is on IC1. That means point A gives higher satisfaction and point B gives lower satisfaction. When these two curves cut at the point C, it means A is equal to B, which is not practically possible. Suppose A gives a satisfaction of 200 and B gives a satisfaction of 100. At this point, if both the lines are intersecting, it means A is equal to B. Can 200 be equal to 100? It cannot be equal. So, indifference curve cannot cut each other. The last one, indifference curves do not touch the horizontal or vertical axis. Indifference curve cannot touch the horizontal axis. This is the horizontal axis or the vertical axis. If it touches the axis like that, it means that the consumer is buying only one product. Suppose if the indifference curve touches the point here at B, it means the consumer is buying only commodity X. If it touches this point A, it means the consumer is buying only one commodity Y. But our assumption says that the consumer buys two commodities X and Y. That is our assumption. Our assumption says that the consumer is buying two commodities X and Y, apple and oranges. If it touches the X axis or the Y axis, it means that the consumer is buying only one commodity. So if the indifference curve touches the x-axis or the y-axis, it violates the basic assumption that the consumer purchases two commodities in a combination. So for every combination, the consumer buys two commodities, either apple as well as oranges. He does not consume only apple or only orange. He purchases a combination of both apple and oranges. So these are the properties of indifference curves. This is very, very important, girls. It can be asked as a 3-mark question. What are the properties of indifference curve? 1. Indifferent curve must have negative slope. 2. Indifference curves are convex to the origin. 3. Indifference curve cannot cut each other. 4. Indifferent curves do not touch the horizontal or vertical axis. Indifference curve cannot intersect. Okay. So these are the properties. Indifference curve must have negative slope. Indifferent curves are convex to the origin. Indifference curve cannot intersect. And the last one, indifferent curves do not touch the horizontal or vertical axis.